하렴?
7K dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be checking out Myth Radgrid Special Dungeon. And yes, isolation is really a pain in the ass. But before we look at the team, I'm gonna talk about her skill set. For her passive, she has a 70% chance to isolate the attacker, which is the one that's dealing damage on her for one time, and the rest actually don't really affect too much, except that she does have a longer awakening gauge, so that means her damage is going to be slightly delayed than normal dungeons, and she has immunity to formation change, which really won't affect much at all, and her conditional passive also doesn't apply in this case. Then for her skill 1, she deals 300% to 4 enemies with the highest physical and magic attack, and then also deals additional damage and reduces their crit and lethal rate by 70% for 4 turns. So this can be potentially devastating for your DPS, especially since they require crit and lethal to hit really hard. However, since this is a debuff, it can be cleansed, so if you have a cleanser, that's good. Then she also does 300% to 3 enemies with the highest physical and magic attack and decreases their buff duration by 1 turn. This is not the scariest skill, so don't worry about this skill. For her effect attack, she does have a chance to electrify you. So this is my team currently: Valika, Scold, Livestreamer Scold, Rudy, Yuri, and Fenrir. Now if you do not have Livestreamer Scold, you can use Sylvia instead. Okay, she does the same thing. In fact, she buffs magic attack even more, but Livestreamer Scold actually increases damage dealt to universal enemies. Yuri, you can use Rachel for replacement, and this is currently the master wish which I'll be setting for the dungeon, so you guys can take a look and have a reference for this. Okay, so as you can see, the isolation is definitely a problem, and that's why I decided not to use Shane, because every time Shane hits her, she will probably get isolated. So I'm looking for a one-shot and one-time clear. The reason why I'm using Rudy here is because of his shield, so that I do not get any damage and reduction in crit and lethal rate. As you can see here, she starts off with that. So with the shield, you will not be subjected to this. My Valika counters over here, and you see that she has been dealt with the isolation. You can see that black sparkly thing on her. That's the debuff. And fortunately, right, I think skill nullification actually helps to prevent this from happening. But I can't be too sure. Okay, I can't be too sure. So then I have used her top skill to buff a single target, and then I will use the Fenrir's top skill to buff crit and lethal damage. Previously, I also used Yuri's bottom skill to increase the damage dealt onto Radgrid. And then by now, I'm actually at turn 5. Thankfully, she doesn't have her awakened skill, because usually she may get her awakened skill by turn 4. And thankfully, I managed to land the hit here because my Valika did not touch her anymore. And yes, previously she did have the isolation on her, but I think this may have some interaction with skill nullification, so it got removed. I'm not too sure. But yes, basically this is the way to do the dungeon for me. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure there are other strategies out there, so you can let me know in the comments. And over here, I'm gonna just show you guys my equipment. For Valika, I have on speed and crit. The reason why I'm on speed is because I have guild buffs and Yuri and Fenrir. With these 3 factors in place, you basically have 80% crit and lethal already, so I can go with speed, and then the rest is the same. Electrify, resist preferably, and also, you know, increase damage dealt on universal on my traits, fighters, soul, and accessories. For Livestreamer Scold, I have a defensive build for her. This should be the same build if you are using Sylvia, or you can use Rosie, because Rosie actually increases your magic attack by 50% as well, and also, you know, reduces some rates for universal heroes. So Rudy here is on a PvP build. I don't think you really need to gear him specially for this fight, because all you need is that one skill. Even if he's super weak and he dies later on, it's totally fine. And then we have Yuri. She's also on a defensive build with HP armor, you know, PvE defense and all that. So this is also for her to be able to use her bottom skill. Make sure she has Electrify Resist if you want, because there may be a chance that Radgrid will target her and electrify her, and you cannot use the debuff on Radgrid. However, you can overcome that if you have a unit on your team that has a taunt accessory or has taunt on the passive. and that will really help as well. So you don't have to specially give Electrify, and my Electrify resist actually just so happened to be there. And finally for Fenrir, HP armor, also a defensive build. He is actually the taunter of my team, so I gave him the taunt accessory if you saw the run just now. So this accessory is actually just a different one. Nothing too crazy about this fight, just make sure your front line is well decked if you need more bulk. And Velica should have the best PvE weapons that you have. Now moving on, we're going to take a look at the Synthesis event. So for this Synthesis event, you will be getting Celestial Guardian stones or something like that, and you'll be exchanging them for counter blow earring tickets. So since it's a ticket, you can't really choose which one to get, but each one is actually very good and all are usable. The first one is good for strong damage dealers, the second one is good for support units, and the third one is good for CC units. Okay, so all three can be used, it just depends on which hero you will be using them on. And if you guys realize they have implemented this new thing, and the Celestial Guardian Stone is actually a currency. Unfortunately, the previous currencies that you have accumulated, the Guild Dungeon coins, the Nightmare stones, they are still in the item system, item inventory system. So I really wish they could have just changed everything to currencies, but apparently not. Let me know what you guys think of the dungeon. Is it easy or difficult for you? And if you have other team compositions, do leave them in the comments for others to learn as well. Thank you so much, and be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and see you!